A film so British you should bring tea and toast to the movie theater. You're watching Beyond the Trailers review of Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy.
She told me a secret.
The mother of all secrets.
She had information concerning a double agent.
You have to assume they're watching you.
Tailor, Soldier, Spy has already been released in the UK, where it debuted at the #1 spot and held it for 3 weeks. Of course, it doesn't take much to top the UK box office, but it still makes for a hell of a headline. And why shouldn't the British love a movie swelling with such national pride? Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy is based on the famous novel by John le Carré, who himself was a British spy during the 1950s and 60s before leaving to fully concentrate on his successful writing career. But he could never go back into the field anyway, as his cover had been blown by double agent Kim Philby. Then there's the cast, a who's who of British thesping, a sort of adult Harry Potter, if you will. There's established talent like Gary Oldman, John Hurt, and Colin Firth, as well as up-and-comers like Tom Hardy, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Stephen Graham. The film itself is even British, produced by UK shingle Working Title Films with financing from Francis Studio Canal. Interestingly, though, the man at the helm of the whole operation is not from the UK, but Sweden. But by hiring Tomas Alfredson to direct, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy does strike a blow for European cinema, as many were angered by Hollywood's remake of his Let the Right One In, including Alfredson himself. Although, to be fair, Alfredson is remaking the famous 1979 BBC adaptation of Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, starring Alec Guinness. So will using his enemies' tactics against them give Alfredson a win? The answer is still unsure, as while the film has been getting rave reviews, it has not yet made a big splash in the awards pool, only picking up one major win in the first round of Critics' Awards. But is the film merely lying in wait a la George Smiley? Let's go find out. So today we're doing a BTT crew review of Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy.
So Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy for me, it was a movie that I knew immediately that I would need to rewatch it if I really wanted to get something out of the storyline.
I was not really engaged, and I was very confused.
During this movie, I was just frantically trying to figure out what I wasn't getting, because I knew the talent was so big and the buzz on it was so good. But I just was like, I don't get it.
I found the first, 20 or 15 minutes really interesting, and I really was kind of determined to figure out what was going on. But I slowly, throughout the movie, I did kind of get lost.
I felt really stupid watching this movie. I'm like, why does everybody like this movie? It's really boring.
It's kind of like an Emperor's New Clothes situation, because the movie has such great reviews from the press that you're sitting there and you're like, is it me? Do I not understand it? But I went and I read a lot of the reviews after the movie, and nobody could really explain why they thought the film was so good.
For the majority of it, I really wanted to like it, and I kind of did. I didn't completely give up on it, but I understand why probably almost anyone else would.
It sort of reminded me of, like, if you've ever gone with your dad to the office and you spend the whole day watching him talk to his business associates, and you have really no idea what's going on, and every so often you just ask, like, Dad, can I play my Game Boy? He's like, no, you must listen to how the business works.
You are not invited to participate. There is no way you could solve this, and I think that even at the end, it's not explained how George Smiley solved it, the Gary Oldman's character.
The characters are not terribly interesting, and they're not, I don't know if they're really developed enough to actually care about them. I was having trouble keeping track of who's who.
I found the female characters kind of cliche and unimportant, which sort of bothered me because, I don't know, they really didn't add anything except kind of the familiarity of maybe like another movie you've seen that has the same female character in it.
The female roles are pretty bad. I think the movie might be somewhat aware of that based on a comment they make about a secretary earlier on in the film, but they make a choice never to show George Smiley's wife's face, which artistically I can understand, but I guess as a female moviegoer, I find it frustrating that artistic choice is always made with the female characters. I would have liked to see them better developed, and women are the first spies, and it really annoys me that they're constantly left out of spy movies when women have been spies since like Samson and Delilah, because nobody ever suspects them because you could never see their face.
The aesthetic of this movie really did amp it up a lot. From my experience.
Visually, I agree that it was very beautifully shot. The cinematography and just the framing of every shot was was beautiful.
It reminds me of the great films of the 70s, like Kubrick and stuff like that. Every frame is just so perfectly thought out. It's refreshing. I wish that today's filmmakers made this kind of effort with the construction of the frame.
Going along with the visuals, I thought they did an amazing job of making it feel like the 70s. Never for a second did I stop believing that this could have taken place in the 70s.
Maybe that was actually to the movie's discredit. I mean, I like a lot of the movies in the 70s, but there was a vein of films made then that I'm not a fan of, but were very critically acclaimed as well. This reminded me almost of like The French Connection, stuff like that.
I think I'll need to see it again. I definitely won't see it again in theaters. I'd probably recommend it to someone to watch at home.
I do want to see it again, just because I feel like knowing that the twist at the end, how it turns out, maybe I can piece that together. Like, you know how when you watch a mystery movie again, you pick up on all the cues, like, oh, Tyler Durden was there the whole time in little frames. But I don't know if I could sit through it again.
Yeah, I don't think I could sit through this movie again either. I think it would be really hard. I think instead it actually makes me want to see the BBC miniseries with Alec Guinness to maybe see if this is just what the story's like, or this was just a creative decision to kind of hold back so much.
On a 1 to 10, I think I would give this movie a 6.
I would give Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy a 5.
I'd give it a 5, because visually it was perfect, but as an engaging story, it just wasn't there.
So in the end, we just couldn't keep calm and carry on, as we had to give Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy a 5.5. Also, polls are open for you to vote for your top 10 movies of 2011. Go to tinyurl.com/2011top10 and cast your vote by January 3rd, 2012. And then look for the results here on Beyond the Trailer. I'm Grace Randolph reporting from AMC Empire 25, and I hope you'll go beyond the trailer for these other top movies.